Storm update.
Thanks for joining us here at the Weather Channel. I'm Sharon Resulton here in the Weather Channel Forecast Center at the update desk, giving you the very latest on what's happening with our latest big winter storm. And should mention right off the top, Governor Zell Miller in Georgia has issued a state of emergency for North Georgia, for those areas or those counties north of I-20. Unless you really have to be out, you are strongly recommended to stay put where you are. It's strongly recommended that only emergency vehicles really attempt to get out and about on the roadways yet tonight, as most of the areas are very, very icy at this time. We'll talk more in depth about that in a moment. Let's show you first a satellite picture. You can get a good view of the system as it swiftly moves off to the east, now carrying some snow into New York City and Hartford, and even on up toward Boston and Providence. Some reports of some light snow at this time. Things beginning to wind down now as we head on into eastern Tennessee, which is very good, but we are left with a lot of icy conditions across eastern Tennessee on into North Georgia and westernmost portions of the Carolinas as well. We're going to take you on up into the nation's capital. Our own Jill Brown is standing by in some bitter cold wind chills, I might add, to give you the very latest on what's happening there. Jill?
Well, Sharon, the snow has been coming down now for hours, and we're about halfway there, maybe about 5 inches on the ground, and we could end up with 10 inches before the storm starts winding down tomorrow morning. We should let you know that while conditions were looking pretty good early in the evening, because they got a chance to salt and sand today before the second round of snow came in, and the rush hour came off okay, it's not great out there any longer. Fortunately, there aren't a whole lot of cars, and you can see behind me, well, before we had a little traffic. Now, very few cars coming by, but the ones that are out there are finding really treacherous conditions, and we are hearing reports of occasional accidents here and there on the inner beltway, an accident that they've been trying to get cleared now for at least an hour. So some real problems out there, and folks that don't need to be out tonight, it's the usual thing. Stay home. Nice Friday night at home is probably a good thing, because the snow is going to be winding down by tomorrow morning. After that, we'll be telling you about cold weather that may stick around for a little while longer, but in the meantime, it's just rough driving conditions and a chilly night. Not a good night to break down on these roads, that's for sure.
That's right, and it's strongly recommended, as you said, to just stay put where you are instead of venturing out. Jill, thank you very much for bearing with us in the cold temperatures and the snowfall. We'll meet with you again bright and early, 7 a.m. tomorrow.
See you in the morning.
Okay. Well, we haven't had to deal just with icy conditions and with snow. That's been the major problem in parts of the east and parts of the deep south. But you know something? Heading into the upper Midwest and the northern plains, folks there once again dealing with bitterly cold, no, I'd say dangerously cold temperatures. Here's more on that.
Stalled cars on highways are as common as billboards these days, but you know it's...
First, what's going on here into the upper Midwest and the northern plains. Now, these are not wind chills. We'll factor in the winds in a moment. These are the actual readings on the thermometer, and it is well into the 20s below zero across the Dakotas into the upper Midwest. It is 14 below right now in Chicago, and even as far south as Atlanta, temperatures below freezing here, below freezing into Dallas, and even as we head on into portions of the big country of Texas, we're also still getting reports of some pretty slick conditions as any of the moisture that was on the roadways is refreezing. So keep that in mind. Again, there's a look at your wind chills. You factor in the winds, it feels like it's 39 below around Chicago. It feels like it's about 47 below in Green Bay. And we have had wind chill reports as low as 60 below in parts of the Badger State. Here again is a look at your wind chill forecast as we work our way on into Saturday, with some of those wind chill forecasts ranging anywhere from 60 to, or I should say 40 to 60 below, heading across the north and even parts of the southeast, seeing some pretty unreasonably cold wind chills. Wouldn't be surprised at all to hear some reports of some burst pipes due to the cold temperatures once again in the deep south. We're going to take you now all the way up toward Atlantic City. Jill showed you a moment earlier that some of the scenes from into Tennessee, as we see a lot of the moisture finally stretching into parts of the northeast. Again, we think perhaps the bulk of the snow may occur here as we work our way into Long Island and back up around the Cape. So those will be some of the spots that we'll be watching. But in the meantime, as we showed you earlier, D.C. receiving some of that snowfall. We travel a little bit further downstate, and that's where we'll find still a mixture of precipitation at this time, specifically across south and eastern portions of Virginia. Charlottesville, Lynchburg, both those spots have seen some icy conditions. And as we head back down toward the Norfolk area, heading into southeastern portions of Virginia, reports here from the power company that some 95,000 customers were without power in the Hampton Roads area. Chances are they're still without power, because I'll tell you something, it's pretty tough to get out there and try and fix things when you still have the active weather occurring. There again, a look at some of the snow winding down now as we head into eastern Tennessee, western portions of the Carolinas. Still seeing some snow here. We're going to be watching very closely the movement of everything as snow around Asheville. Still in extreme northeastern Tennessee, getting a little bit of a mixture of some sleet and some freezing rain. I'll zoom in around Atlanta. Numerous reports of accidents as we head along Interstate 20, especially along I-75. It appears almost that the interstates are almost worse than some of the lesser traveled roads. So keep that in mind, particularly along the bridges and the overpasses. Heading into South Georgia and northern Florida, heavy rain has been a subject for tonight. All this weather to talk about. Let's talk about the forecast. Here's Jean.
All right, we're going to take a look at your forecast. 10 inches is what we're thinking right now in this swath. Long Island may be included in that. New York City, probably right on the edge, 3 to 6 inch accumulations. Philly, same story. Boston, same story for you.
As the moisture comes up the coast, we have snow, we've got freezing rain through parts of the Carolinas, and then just plain old rain down into Florida. A little light snow coming in with another disturbance here, and this will likely swing through the southeast with some light snow through the weekend. So how about that on top of what you've already seen? The west coast looking at a new system coming in, and that will be heading toward San Francisco overnight. Now, a close-up of what's happening here. Mostly snow here until you get to some areas of Maryland, around Salisbury, all the way down to Richmond. We are looking at some freezing rain and some sleet here. Snow at Charleston and Philadelphia, and some areas here setting up for a little heavier snow right through here, we think, and up into Jersey and Philadelphia. Certainly could see 6 inches possibly accumulating. On further to the south, watch out for freezing rain around Raleigh-Durham. Although the dry air is moving in, the freezing will continue. We'll talk more about the icy weather coming up.
These are the signs of winter. They let you know what lies ahead on the road. When you watch the Michelin Drivers Report on the Weather Channel, you'll know what to expect before you get on the road. Depend on it for the information you need to reach your destination, whether you leave on a trip or for your daily commute. Find out how the weather will affect your drive. Watch the Michelin Drivers Report 55 minutes after every hour, only on the Weather Channel. Now your local forecast. Accurate, convenient, and dependable. Only on the Weather Channel.